In the ancient land of the Baganda, nestled on the shores of Lake Victoria, there was a village like no other, a place where the animals of old lived as we do today, with hopes, dreams, and talents of their own. And in this village, when the feast fires were lit, two names rang louder than the others: Lizard and Python. Lizard was known far and wide for his voice. When he sang, the air seemed to tremble with the beauty of his song. And Python, oh Python, he was the dancer. His every movement was a poem, every twist and turn a story told in the rhythm of his body. Together, they were the stars of every feast, admired by all the animals in the village. But even the best of friends cannot escape the whispers of rivalry. Soon the village was abuzz with talk. Who is better, Lizard with his voice or Python with his dance? The animals didn't know, but one thing was clear: this was no ordinary friendship. These two were bound by something deeper than talent, than competition. Now, the drum. The drum was rare in those times, a prized possession, like a treasure in the hands of a king. Lizard did not own one. He did not need it, for his voice alone could carry the world's rhythm. But Python had a drum, and he was generous. He would lend it only to one animal, his closest friend, Lizard, a bond of trust as deep as the roots of the mighty trees surrounding their village. One day, the chieftain of a neighboring village invited Lizard to sing and Python to dance at a grand feast across the lake. The chieftain was so impressed by their talents that he invited Lizard to return, and this time he asked him to bring his drum. But the chieftain didn't know the drum wasn't Lizard's. Lizard, too proud to admit he didn't own it, made a choice that would change everything. He needed the drum, but more than that, he needed to keep up the illusion. And so he turned to Python. Python, trusting his friend with the drum, had no reason to suspect that Lizard's request was more than just practice. Lizard promised to return it after 3 days. But as the days turned into weeks, Lizard's performances in the distant village grew more popular. The music of his voice and the beat of Python's drum mesmerized all who heard it. Days passed, weeks, and still no drum returned. Python, growing anxious, went to Lizard's hut, but Lizard was gone. His wife, with a heavy heart, told him the truth. Lizard had forgotten his promise, or perhaps he had chosen to ignore it. When he finally returned, laden with gifts and praise, he felt more like a king than a friend. He was so full of himself, so caught up in his glory, that he decided to sever their bond forever. Lizard, now full of arrogance, took the drum and ran, climbing the tallest tree he could find. He knew Python, his friend, would not follow him. At the base of that tree, Python called to his old friend. He spoke not with anger, but with deep sorrow. He told Lizard that what he had done was wrong. How could he betray him like this? Feeling the weight of his guilt, Lizard tried to hide it behind insults. He claimed he deserved the drum because he could play it with his tail, feet, and mouth. Python, on the other hand, could only play it with his tail. Lizard continued to mock his old friend, playing and singing until the dark of night, when he finally returned home. His wife, scolding him for his pride, threw a pot at him, but Lizard, stubborn in his ways, didn't care. He took the drum, ran out again, and climbed yet another tree to sing and play, alone. But Python, though deeply hurt, did not seek revenge. Instead, he turned to a new ally, the termite queen. Her strong and swift warriors would bring justice in a way Lizard never expected. And so the tree fell, and with it, the drum. Lizard, helpless, was tossed into the river, unable to swim. As he flailed in the water, he saw Python approaching him, slow and steady, and fear gripped his heart. Ultimately, it was not the drum lost. It was something far more precious, The bond of trust between lizard and python was broken, and though they spoke again, their friendship was never the same. And so, when you hear the rhythm of the drums in the jungle, you'll never see a lizard playing one in the trees, for some bonds, once broken, cannot be mended.